Welcome to Food Nation's Branding Masterclass. It's a great pleasure to welcome all of you today. And today we are going to talk about how to turn national strength into international brand assets. My name is Lise Walbom and I'm the CEO of Food Nation. And with me here today, I have my good colleague, Natascha Carlson, project manager in Food Nation, together with Niels Henrik Eriksen, senior partner at Kunde Co. Also Bjørn, Olsen, partner and country manager in Germany, also from Kunde Co. And Christina Smith, marketing manager at CO-RO. Behind the scenes, we also have a strong team of supporters. And you should also know that today we are live streaming from our visitor center here in the center of Copenhagen. And if you haven't been here yet, I will give you a warm invitation to come and visit Food Nation here in our new visitor center. Before we move on, I would like to give you a few indications of technical good ideas to use in order to get the best possible experience in this branding masterclass. So you should, if possible, use Google Chrome and headphones to ensure the best possible experience. And I will also encourage all of you to use the chat if you have questions along the way. So we will do our best to take questions in the end of the session. And if we do not succeed in answering everyone during today's session, we will get back to you afterwards. And I would also let you know that you should be aware that we are recording this branding masterclass and we will share the recording afterwards. So please be aware of a follow-up email. And with that being said, allow me to set the scene and introduce today's program. We will, as I said, talk about the headline, how to turn national strength into an international brand asset. And I have already introduced my good colleague, Natascha. She will give an introduction to the total Food Nation branding platform and our good participants from Kunde Co, together with Christina Smith from CO-RO. They will take us on a journey in building a winning international brand position, linking theory into practice. And we will have a clear and good case on how CO-RO is working with Sunlolly on the German market. And then at the end, we will have a good time also for questions. So the purpose of this branding masterclass is to address why a focus on branding is essential for success on export markets and how you can turn Denmark's agri-food sector strength into an international brand asset. So let's greet each other today, and I will invite all of you to just write your name and organization in the chat. And maybe, as we are going to talk about CO-RO's case on Sunlolly, maybe just share if you have a few Sunlollies in your freezer, because I have, and it's always good to be among friends. So please share name and organization in the chat. So while you are saying hi to each other in the chat, just briefly about Food Nation. So Food Nation is a public-private partnership established in 2017. We are a not-for-profit, not political, independent association. And we are a branding consortium for Denmark, which serves as a gateway for information about the whole value chain in the agri-food sector. So our main objective is to create awareness of Denmark as a frontrunner within innovative, sustainable and effective food production. And we do act as a collective international platform for the Danish food cluster. And by being a branding platform like this, we do support all companies across the value chain with international visibility We are working very much on building credibility upon everything which is already there. And most important, raise the awareness about the Danish strength amongst international private and public decision makers to create a strong Danish position on the international market. So the foundation of the work of Food Nation is very much centered around the belief that when we stand very close together, we also stand stronger on the international markets. And from there, we can leverage the good reputation that the Danish agri-food sector is known for, and very much position us even stronger on the international markets. And allow me just to say that I will say that in these turbulent times that we find ourselves in, I do believe that this is more important than ever, and we should do what the agri-food sector does best. We should create a longer table to meet around, not build higher walls. And this is exactly the perspective of Food Nation. Invite to dialogue around this agri-food sector table, where we have so many things to offer on the international markets. And now I would like to give the word to Natascha, who will introduce the joint branding platform. Natascha,
yes,
please join me.
Thank you so much, Lise. Thank you for the very good presentation. So I'll just dive right into it. So, and just to begin with, I'll start up by actually reading out loud, setting the scene, also followed up by what Lise just said. So Food Nation represents the collective international narrative of the Danish food cluster, supporting Danish companies in gaining visibility, credibility, and access to international public and private decision makers. And this is happens through a strong and shared national positioning. So just summing up actually what Lise just said. So Food Nation is not only a go-to portal for international stakeholders, it's also, you could perceive it as a free service for all Danish companies within the agri-food sector. So at Food Nation's branding platform, which I'll present to you just now, we have a broad selection of branding and communication materials, which you can all use for free. And we have gathered all this material in what we call a toolbox, which is available on our website. And here we just have a short video demonstrating how you can easily access the toolbox through our website. And just let me state that the aim of this toolbox is to empower Danish companies to stand out on export markets, so supporting the strong positioning. It offers a range from strategic insights to high quality marketing assets. You could say plug and play if you would, but also just to pick and choose what suits your efforts. So what we are showing just now is actually all of the materials in the toolbox collected in what I call a branding, or what we call an online branding catalog. Usually we use a lot of our communication materials to direct towards international stakeholders, but this toolbox puts in another perspective, actually highlighting how you can use this to utilize in your own efforts. So just here, finalizing this short presentation of the branding catalog, I would like to invite you to explore on your own, see, well, I'll make you decide what you can use and what you can't, but please feel invited to explore on your own. So I would like for you to use the catalog as what I would call a reference resource. So please perceive it as a go-to platform when you are working with specific export branding and marketing efforts in your own work. So now I would like to just zoom in on one of the specific elements showcased here, which is the backbone of our communication, what would you say, like tool in Food Nation, and that's the white papers. And each of these white papers unfolds one of the Danish agri-food strongholds. And these strongholds represents areas where the Danish food cluster holds a documented front-runner position on international markets. And these includes what is showcased here on the presentation: food safety and quality, seafood, health, sustainability, organic, gastronomy, collaboration, and innovative technology. And this is just what it holds just now. The white papers are just, as I initiated by saying, is the backbone of the common narrative about the Danish food sector, agri-food sector. And it is these stronghold narratives that Food Nation activates continuously in a tailored format, which is directed towards international markets, most often in relation to export promotion efforts. So what makes these white papers valuable is that they combine two things. They combine solid academic, a data-driven foundation that provides credibility and context. And secondly, it provides always real-life best practice cases, which is showcasing how Danish companies already turn these strengths into commercial value. So, but the point is not just what Denmark is good at. The real value, you could say, relevant to this branding masterclass lies in how you can use it in your own work. And these white papers are designed as a strategic content resource, not only activated by us, but we would also like to invite you to activate it in your own work. And this strategic content frames the narrative from a value chain perspective. So what they can support your company's positioning within a larger, credible story. So in this sense, you're not just communicating isolated about your own products or solutions. You're actually tapping in to a strong and recognizable Danish narrative, and which is already trusted globally. So just shortly, you could see the white papers as an obvious source of inspiration for your own export marketing efforts. And now, just finalizing this part, I have the great pleasure of revealing to you that we have new content here. We just finished this new white paper about ingredients and biosolutions. And I'm very excited about sharing this news for you today. And I really hope that you will that you can find inspiration here as well. So, and please also keep an eye on new things on our webpage. And oftenly you can follow this also by reading our newspaper, where we will of course communicate about stuff like this. Yes? So just rounding up my part here, I would like to just address and tap into the overall topic here of this branding masterclass, is how you can actually use Food Nation's branding platform to turn national strength into an international brand asset. And I've just highlighted like the three most, what I would call low-hanging fruits, just for you to have like key takeaways here from my side of the presentation, is that you can use the branding content or the branding platform to elevate your own sales argument to a global perspective. And then secondly, you can gain market insights, which hopefully you can use as a strategic tool for your own market positioning. And then thirdly and lastly, it can be used for your own company to enhance visibility for international stakeholders. And then just before rounding up, I would just invite for you to please explore the catalog, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any comments or questions to the materials. So thank you so much. And I forgot to just show you the new white paper. I brought it, and here it is. Yes,
thank you very much, Natascha. Great to see the new white paper. And I really hope that you got a clear overview of the total branding platform. So we're now moving on in the program, and we have the pleasure now to introduce our external speakers today. Our next session will focus on how to use strategic branding and how this can drive international market success, not as a communication add-on, but as a commercial discipline. And to guide us through this, we are very pleased to be joined by very experienced branding experts from Kunde Co, which is one of Northern Europe's leading brand and marketing agencies. And we have with us Niels Henrik Eriksen, senior partner at Kunde Co. Niels has more than 25 years of experience in international branding, both from the agency side, but also from several companies. And Niels brings a strong and very practical perspective on how brand strategy creates value across markets. Also joining Niels is Bjørn, Olsen partner and country manager in Germany for Kunde Co. And Bjørn has led the work here in Germany for more than 15 years. And this is why he has, of course, a deep insight into how Danish companies can build a strong position in complex markets, including within food. And to make sure that we get the perspective out into practice, we are very pleased that we can build a strong step from theory to practice. And this is why we also have with us Christina Smith, marketing manager at CO-RO. And Christina will share the story of how the iconic Danish brand Sunlolly has been positioned for growth in the German market. And Christina brings in more than 10 years of experience in international FMCG marketing and leads the development of Sunlolly in Germany. Balancing this strong brand heritage with local market insight and execution. So, thank you for Niels, Bjørn, and Christina for being with us today. And Niels, please join me. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for that very nice and warm introduction. And thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about how to build a winning international brand position today. So what we will share in this part of the program is basically three things, as Lise was just telling. First, we'll look at a little bit of the philosophy. How do you do this? That's the theory part. It's not that you, but I hope to bring some good notes on how this can do textbook wise. Then we'll move into a practical case, as mentioned, about CO, and then there'll be time for questions at the end. So if I should just say put one slide on who Kunde Co is. As mentioned, we are one of the leading marketing and brand agencies in Denmark and Northern Europe. We have clients throughout Europe, working with them on their international markets, and of course also only Danish clients in Denmark. We work with companies mainly to introduce new product concepts to the market, to revitalize brands, or to create whole new corporate brands positions as well. And in that, of course, a lot of effectiveness of the marketing system, setting that up to work internationally. Here I brought a few references of some of the food clients we've worked with throughout the years. Some of them we help also today. Just to give you an example and an understanding that we work a lot with the food cluster as such. So how do we work? How do we build a strong brand? How do we build a strong brand position? Well, we've actually developed a philosophy that's been the core, the anchor, the spine of the agency, you can say, all through the 35 years in business. One very key element of this theory, this philosophy, is really this model. And that's both a working model, it's also a philosophy. So the idea here is that both marketing activities, building brand positions, well, it's not just a matter of passing that last hurdle towards the end customers, the consumers. That's the advertising part of it, and that's fine. That needs to be done at some point. But what's really key to have success in the market is to understand the complete hurdle race. So the whole value chain of how you bring your product, your solution to the market. That's really the aim for what we do. That's how we help clients, and that's really key for building a strong brand position. If you don't understand the hurdle race, if you don't respect the hurdle race in all your efforts towards the market, well, you are minimizing your chances of success once you market your product or solution. And here you also see there are some internal parts here and some external parts here. And it's really back to some of the old philosophers and psychotherapy thinkers. And they talked a lot about personality, you know, how do you build a strong personality? That's really combined of three things. One is how you see yourself, combined with how are you actually perceived by others. And now it's time for
change.
No worries.
No worries. We'll just do like this, and
Yeah.
you'll be good to go.
Perfect.
Yes.
Enough of mics. Never go down on mics, so that's good. So yeah, and that was really the conclusion here. Find that internal, external red thread in your communication and your brand position story. Also, obviously, in the times that we're living in right now, especially, you can say, you also need to consider one thing is that you have a product that you want to sell to some customers. That's fine. You also need to consider that increasingly people are looking outside your product benefits. You also need to be very clear about what is it that you stand for as a customer. So customers work and live and act in a society that's affected by different themes, different agendas, and so on. And they're looking for providers, companies like yours, that take a stand in these different themes. So you also need to consider, once you have your product that you want to sell to someone, you also need to consider what is it that we stand for as a customer, because that's getting increasingly important towards the customers. So that was a little bit of theory. Now I have a few slides on how do you then do this, and that's very high level, but hopefully it will give you some idea of the process of doing this. And you can do that yourself, actually. You can also ask others to help you. But the idea here is that you need to really start with the core customers. And you know this 80-20 rule that in most industries, 20% of the customers make up the 80% of the value. That's a pretty normal, I think, well-established assumption throughout the different industries. So what is really key is that you understand these core customers that you have. You know, who are they? What is it that they prefer? What are their, behavior? What do they like? What are their needs? And so on and so forth. And doing so, obviously, you also need to understand who could be the next ones that you can convert into these core customers. So really starting at the customer side, understanding who it is that you are targeting with your products and how you can describe those people. Next step is to look then into your product. And when developing new products, you sometimes get blind and you assume that everybody around you can see, well, this is a fantastic product I have here. And that's not always the case. So it's a good idea to try to force yourself to highlight and to detail what are really the product features of our product. And that's, very rational. It's very practical. It could be the way that you produce your products. It can be, the ingredients. It could be a lot of different things, but really trying to nail these features. And obviously there are more than one feature. So trying to be very, very clear on what these different features are. That's really the key, having defined who you are aiming to present your product for and sell your product to. So once you have features in place, next step is then to combine the features with your understanding of your customers. So that's really trying to nail out and to map, okay, with our products towards these customers, what kind of value is it that we drive? So what is the pain that we're solving for our customers, you can say? How is it that we're helping them in their everyday life, if it's a consumer, or in their business, if it's a business-to-business business you're running? So trying to map out, okay, the value drivers, if we look at those, in what ways are our product really driving value, and what is that value to the customers? And here we get a little bit more emotional, of course, but it can also be very practical still and say, okay, this is the kind of value that the product is delivering to this kind of segment because we do this and this and that because of these and those features. So again, there can be multiple value drivers at this point. So the important part is really to try to map out the different ones that there might be. And once you have the overview of these different value drivers, then you can begin to cluster them. You will realize when you look into them, well, some of them can be grouped more or less in the same value area. You can say it's the same messaging, it's the same core value maybe that they deliver. And here we go towards different positionings really. So when you cluster these different value drivers, then you are actually starting to frame different positions for yourself. Again, here there can be multiple relevant positions, valid positions for you to go for. You haven't decided anything yet, but it's important to now cluster these different values into different positioning statements and trying to describe, okay, what is it that we do? How is that bringing value to your customers? And so on. What is then needed? Then you can sit down, and of course, in your management team or in your R&D area or your product marketing or whatever, and say, okay, this is how we're going to position ourselves, this new product or your company brand. But you can also go back to, there was someone once saying it's like a hurdle race. Yes, it is like a hurdle race. So you can go back to your hurdle race and trying to figure out, okay, now we ourselves have tried to identify how things look. Let's see how it works across this hurdle race, and let's test out in the total value chain. And that's really the next part. So testing out these different assumptions that you might have developed throughout your value chain. Sometimes you realize that there can be very different opinions about how you should position yourself if you talk to internal stakeholders combined to external stakeholders. So that's a very valuable step in the process of building a strong brand. I will just give you one example here of how to test this then. Well, when we do it, we develop brand position directions like this, an example for the chicken category. And as you can see, it's both a matter of text and pictures, so you can actually relate to it like it's real communication. And we test this we test this together with a lot of different other areas. It could be price ranges, it could be names, it could be payoffs, brand identity, so on and so forth, to figure out and find out what is that common red thread internally and externally for your customer. And then you get the feedback back and you analyze that, and you are able to then detail describe what is then our preferred, valuable, valid brand position that's differentiating us and brings value to those core customers. So summing up this brief introduction is really the way that we work with this is a four-step process. First, you figure out what do we know, dig into whatever analysis you have or make new ones. So trying to develop those hypotheses on where to bring your brand. You develop that into communication prototypes, we call that you can then test throughout your value chain. And then based on that, you're actually able to find that common red thread that both aligns the internal perceptions with the external perceptions as well, and needs and wants of your customers. So with that very brief introduction to a theory behind building strong brands, I think it's time now to look at a practical case on how do you do this then? Well, Sunlolly is a great example on that, and how they've done in Germany. And I will bring Bjørn to the stage to take that further.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bjørn. I opened up the agency Kunde Co in Düsseldorf back in 2007. So I know how difficult the market is. So my ambition is, and was and still is, to be the biggest agency in Germany. Have an awareness like Kunde Co in Denmark of 91%, and there's still a long, long way to go. So I'm going to present the Sunlight case from CO-RO together with Christina Smith, who's marketing manager. And I think what's important is when we do stuff like this, it is a cooperation. So we might know something about the market, we might know something about the consumers, but you as a producer or brand, you know everything about the products, the customers, and so on and so forth. So we need to do this in cooperation, otherwise it doesn't work. So back in 2023, Sunlight had been in the market, in German market, for approximately 10 years, doing a good job, a sales job, specifically in order to get distribution, and they were very strong with especially Kaufland and Lidl, which is part of the Schwarz Group, and also had some distribution within Edeka and Rewe. Lars Poulsen, who was sales director of Europe for Sunlight, contacted me and asked if we would help them to actually and create more growth, because the situation was they were very big within Schwarz, so they had a market share of approximately 60%, but within the other chains, which are cooperatives, they had a smaller market share. So we went into a process where we actually started with some research and analysis to find out who are the customers, who are the consumers, how does everything work. Based on that, we built a strategy and a concept. And last, we built a go-to-market, because the situation is in such a big market, you can't just, or you can if you have the money, you can spend it, and then you can basically create the brand from today to tomorrow. But many Danish companies don't have the resources to do that. And then we went into the launch in 2024. Christina will present that later. And we got some learnings. We knew what works, what doesn't work. And then we basically filed and fine-tuned the concept and the elements and so on and so forth. And then we relaunched back in 2025. So we started out with looking at the retail. And we have here two very, very big cooperatives, which are Edeka. They are number one with 11,000 stores in Germany. It's crazy. As a comparison, Føtex has 100 stores in Denmark, and Netto has 500. So we kind of need 20 times the sales force in Germany in order to go out and knock on the doors. And Rewe is also very, very big. We also talked to a lot of different specialists, both from the chains themselves, but also from outside, because when we talked to the chains, they said, yeah, you need to go in centrally. But the thing about if you do that, you're not guaranteed any distribution. So you pay a fee, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be on the floor. So you need to go in via this, what do you call it, the retail outlets themselves. And there are very, very big merchants out there, like Heide. I think he has 10 stores around Düsseldorf and so on and so forth. And basically, if you do that, then you can go to the region, you can prove your case, and then you can actually go to the central. So that also means that the retail in itself is a mass market. It's huge. Then we also try to look into the category, and we show people the product and ask if they knew it, and very few did. And we also found out that there was a problem with the category. It's ambient ice, and basically it's liquid. So the retailers, they were like, is this within food, within beverages, or is it within frozen? Where do we actually have to place it? So there was some explanation that we also need to do in this segment. Then we've also looked into the sizing. So CO-RO had a lot of fantastic numbers that we digged into together with them. And we found out that the ambient ice market is 1%. So it's still a very, very small fractional part of the total ice cream market. But it was growing. So over the years, it has actually shown a very good growth, and there was a huge potential. So if we looked into the consumer pattern in Denmark and compared that to Germany, there was a lot to go for. That also meant actually that we were attacked. So the category had so far been relatively price driven. So people had, the brands had been on the floor, and we were up against brands like Alaska Boy, Polaretti, Bushy, and so on and so forth. And we were actually having it relatively easy because we had a high quality, we had a special packaging, the triangle, and so on and so forth. But suddenly, Hitchis, which is a big a brand within confectionery, and Capri-Sun, which is basically a global billion-dollar company, they also started entering the market. And you can say, okay, that's fine, we're still good within the category and so on and so forth, but they were attacking our position. So though they are basically quality, high price, like us, so they were going directly into our position. And what we saw after the first launch of Hitchis was they simply just eroded the market. So they went in and took market shares and let the market shares of the two market leaders, us and Bushy, basically drop. So we had to do something about that. We could not live with that. Then we tried to say, okay, but do we have a better product? What can we kind of build this brand on? Of course, we were established, I think, in 1979 in Denmark, and we're a market leader, and we basically founded this category. But again, how do German consumers see it? And everybody loved the product. So 83% of the one we tested with said they would buy the product. And for the competition, it was only approximately 25%. So we had a very good starting point for actually building the communication. But a strategic issue was, of course, if you look at the other brands, they have a 2-digit million euro marketing budget, which we don't have. And we will not get that tomorrow either. So that was kind of a big strategic issue. We needed to find out how can we work smarter and how can we be more, maybe be more firm and intelligent in what we basically do. And that also led, of course, to the other brands dominating. So we have a tool called Meltwater, which we use in order to measure the share of voice in the market. And as you can see, Capri-Sun had a share of voice of approximately 80%. So we had to do something in order to stand out. Then we did a small market survey. So we asked 500 consumers in an online test about the awareness, about why they buy ice cream, why they wouldn't do it, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, this category is simply insane. So you have so many big brands, Magnum, you have Langnese, and all the different Unilever brands and so on and so forth, which have an unaided awareness above 80%. And the category ambient ice is the one you see to the right, and as you can see, is the aided awareness is much lower. Within the aided awareness, the brands that come from other categories, even though they are not that big yet in the ambient ice category, due to the brand strength, they basically had a very high aided awareness. And Sonderly was on place 3 together with Bushy, and you can see there's a focus on a very young segment, which might also be related to TikTok being one of the main media driving the communication in the market. Then we asked about when would you choose an ice cream? What are kind of the key criteria for you? And not surprisingly, since it's food, it's about quality, it's about taste, and it's also about a brand I can recognize. So that was something we had to build on. And having the best taste in the market, you can say, and the best quality, that was pretty good to get that confirmation from the test. And then we also asked about when would you not, and of course availability. So if you don't have the distribution, you can't sell it, right? And then there is some things related to sugar, and I guess that part of the market is just out. So we had a situation. We basically had a big potential. We had a lack of distribution. We had big brands attacking our market. We had the best products, however, but a lower marketing budget. So we needed to sit down and say, okay, how do we now take this to market? What the entry points be? How can we crack this nut? So we said, okay, first of all, we need to prioritize the distribution. If we don't get the products on the floor, we cannot sell it, and the consumers cannot buy it, right? So we built an argumentation around being the category leader, the quality leader. We had some benchmarks from Denmark about the consumption. We had a fantastic track record in Lidl about how many SKUs we were selling per square meter and so on and so forth. and we had an argument about it being at a turnover to what they did today. And of course, you can say, since we don't have the big sales force, this is a marketing task or branding task. Then we said it would also be nice to actually pilot towards the end consumer. So trying to build a case and see if we're able to actually drive some kind of demand in the market. So we built an argumentation toward the end users around the new treat. It's something new, fantastic, and so on and so forth. Like fantastic quality. We actually have organic and natural variants, and we have a lot of special editions, which everybody in Food Nation were talking about today. And then we said, okay, who is it that we want to go for? And then we said, of course, yeah, that's fine. But since the market is so damn big, we need to slice the elephant. So we need to kind of see, where do we start? Where do we build on? And what do we prioritize this year? And what can we then consider next year? So we went to the fair on ISM, and we focused a lot of communication on LinkedIn, and also we did some inserts in order to dominate around the fair, in order to basically get awareness. We focused on the sell-in period. We made an account-based approach, and then we also looked very much into how can we get in contact with the owner or the category responsible. And in relation to the consumers, we focused on digital. We said that's basically what we can do. No TV, no print, nothing. We focused on Meta, TikTok, and YouTube, and we had some kind of a regional approach also. We are capable of saying we only want to go for Nordrhein-Westfalen or Hamburg and so on. And with that, I will introduce Christina, who I've been working with on this, and she will show the results and also what we did creative-wise.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Bjørn. So now you're seeing from here is the strong analysis and the strategic foundations of Sunlolly in the German market. So everything from a complex retailer structure to importance of distribution, the limited understanding of the category, and the reality of a limited budget in a very high competitive market. So what I'm going to show you is the execution directly built on the strategic challenges that Bjørn has just told you about. So to turn strategy into impact, we worked in a structured, focused, and collaborative way. We first of all translated the insights from the analysis into concrete communication and initiatives. We aligned sales, marketing, and Kunde Co on one plan with focus in mind. But more importantly, our execution model was built on this retail-first mindset. Because as you know, without the distribution, consumer activation doesn't matter. So to unlock the growth, we needed both functional communication to remove barriers and brand communications to build preference. So, sorry, as the challenge was, this was categorized, as I said before, with a low understanding and awareness. So here, functional communication was key, not just to educate about the category, but also build decision confidence, not just with the consumers, but actually also with the retailers. But as you know, functional communication does not alone build preferences, and this is where our brain communication came in, making sure that our brand had emotional relevance and trust. Together, the two tracks allowed us to unlock distribution first and make sure that the demand would follow. So, when talking to retailers, strong storytelling is the key. This is not communication in the sense of storytelling with consumers, but it's communication directly dedicated to win distribution. Here we align German retail logic and business rationale with consumer relevant product benefits. That meant showcasing clear proof points on quality, category growth, track records, and much more. The role of this communication: easy to understand the category and Sunlolly, easy to list Sunlolly, and also easy for the retailer to activate the product. So By putting this retail first mindset into practice meant changing the approach of how we went to the retailers. We needed to hit the right decision makers, but we also needed to hit them in the right context. We therefore focused on winning retailer attention through specific targeted of relevant job titles and functions within the respective retailer organizations on social media. We supported this with a dedicated retail website and sell-in brochures, all built around this retailer storytelling. We also had 2 insights in Lebensmittelzeitung, which is Germany's leading trade magazine. And all of these combined together had one clear action point, call to action, through the funnel. So after the retailer communication, we also needed to create demand effectively towards the consumers. Here we had the challenge of the limited budgets in a heavy competitive market, as Bjørn said earlier. So what we did was a digital-only approach where regional targeting is the key. The objective of this communication was not just brand awareness, but create demand for not just Sunlolly, but also the category. So to build the demand, we activated consumers through 2 communication tracks, as I said before. We separated the 2 functional and emotional tracks. The functional tracks being taste, quality, natural ingredients, and use. This meant clarity and understanding. And the emotional connection of brand meaning. And then, of course, showcasing that Sunlolly is an ally to parents everywhere in the world, making sure that we can help make everyday moments magic easier. So this spelled relevance, emotional connection, and memorability. So the produced content helped us educate and create emotional connection, while the regional targeting helped us focus our investment in the focused sales area that we had aligned with the sales team. So, merging the functional product and category education with the emotional storytelling, everyday magic moments, we did through micro-influencers and user-generated contents created, as Bjørn mentioned before. Here, we did it in a practical way, where we educated the consumers about the benefits and the usage, how and when, the emotional connection and creating credibility. And we did this through real people and their everyday magic moments with Sunlolly. We knew that the challenge was understanding the category and having clarity. And this activation helped bring this to life through social proof and usage, among others. So, as a result of a deep analysis, a strong strategy, and with a focus of execution, we delivered measurable commercial impact in Germany. We saw a growth of 20% in the turnover. Market share was up by 30% and 25% in aided awareness, while the emotional connection was up by 15%. So the key learnings is definitely focus over scale. Distribution is key. And among others, a collaboration between sales, marketing, and Kunde Co. So to align and focus with a small investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Thank you very much. Please stay with me.
Yes.
Yeah. And I will also invite Niels, Henrik, and Bjørn to join me, and Natascha, because now we are actually gathering the whole team on stage and sharing mics one way or the other. We'll make sure. First of all, Christina, allow me to say congratulations with these amazing numbers and for the great collaboration that you have demonstrated, not just between the companies of YouTube, but also with the German counterparts. I mean, we clearly see the value of collaboration and focused branding and marketing initiatives. So thank you very much, all of you, for sharing. And we will now take some questions. If we have someone in the crowd having questions, I will invite you now to take your opportunity in sharing these questions. We do have time for it with this very engaged and knowledgeable panel. So don't hesitate to hit us with the questions. While we're waiting, if someone has some questions for us, we will just keep on the dialogue up here, because we know that dialogue is really what's matter, creating fruitful collaboration. So with that said, I will go back to you, Niels, because I mean, I was very inspired by all of your presentations. But I'm quite keen on, zooming in on the most important. So I'm really keen on if you could elaborate a little bit on where you see where you see the biggest potential in turning these national strengths, as we are talking about, also that we're working with in Food Nation. Where do you see these potentials? How to turn them into assets?
Yeah, I think you're right that in Denmark, generally speaking, we have a lot of potential, a lot of great assets within this area to build on, and I think we have a lot of great cases on brands, companies that have succeeded with not only being a success in Denmark but also going abroad. Obviously, we are a very small population. I think same amount of probably Hamburg in Germany. So one thing is, of course, being a success in Denmark. Another thing is how do you work with this internationally? And here, another important aspect, I think, is the fact that it's very rare that we have the power, marketing, media spending wise, especially when you are a small competitor and you need to challenge some of the established brands. We saw that in the Sunlolly case, that some of these brands are very, very large, have huge budgets and so on and so forth. So I think it's really a matter of being smart, a matter of understanding the key areas of your product, how they bring value, and then also trying to define, okay, what kind of customers is it that we're going for. And I know that's a very generic answer to this, but I think it's key to understand that you can have the best products in the market, but if nobody knows, then it doesn't matter.
No.
You need to really be smart at getting your story out there.
And so as you said, it's a lot about the money, what's the budgets, and then this forces us into being smart. We really have to be that. Thank you for elaborating on this, Niels. Christina, getting back to you and your impressive work at CO-RO. I'm keen on having some more learnings from you shared with our audience. So, I mean, you've been working with exports in many years, and looking into your experiences now with Germany and Sunlolly, and looking into this branding platform that we provide from Food Nation. Could you maybe add a few reflections on how this joint narrative could support the general export work from a food company side?
Yeah, from a food company side. I would definitely say get as much information as you can. In this case, it was around Germany. As many of you know, one country doesn't look like another. This is the brilliant case for Sunlolly. We are very known in Denmark, but not known in Germany, hence really focusing on functional communication, which we do not do in Denmark. And then, as I said before, you already showcased it. You had a great tool case. Use it, use each other, and just make sure that we grow together.
So that togetherness, that's what I'm really hearing. It means a lot. I mean, both having small budgets, being a small country, it really matters that we work smart. And
we've been fighting a lot,
yeah,
of course, and I think that's what it takes, right? Because it's like a marriage, right? And we need to basically agree on what is the right thing, and we need to challenge each other, also, right? Because we have different standing points where we come from, right? And I think that's what it takes to basically make the right solution at the end.
Bjørn, actually, just pointing to that a little bit more specific on entering the German market. from your perspective, what has been the maybe the three most important things from a strategic perspective, the three most important strategic actions that you have taken? What would you point to?
You mean in terms of Sunlight?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think many Danish companies, they think that Germany is Hamburg and everything above. So they enter from there. And I think in this case, we prove Edeka and Lidl and everybody, they are headquartered down around Nordrhein-Westfalen or in the Baden-Württemberg. Right? So dare to go south, right? The second one is slice the elephant, because it's a huge market. Consider what is basically that we're potentially capable of and where can we make a difference and an impact, right? So that we shoot with cannons and not only with, I know you're not allowed to talk about shooting, but and not with very, very small bullets, right? And then I think the third one is also respect the market. I remember when I went to Germany, I got a drawing with a beer and a sausage and so on and so forth. And Germany is so much more than that. It's a huge market just south of the border, and there's so much potential. And I think a lot of Danish companies don't respect it. I think we have this self-esteem as Danes, and that's fine, right? But still consider who you're talking to.
And now it's not because I'm starting to text my friends. It's just because I get questions in now actually from the audience. So we have a few questions here. One question is, how can new startup working on a beverage develop its branding strategy? Should the focus be on product or company? In other words, what should be the first thing to do? And maybe that's for you, Niels.
Yeah, I can try to elaborate on that. So understanding correctly, a beverage startup, what to do?
Yes.
Yeah. So
company or category.
Yeah, I think nobody knows the company, so nobody knows the product. So I think it's of course key to be sure about what kind of company are you. But in this case, if you want to have some traction immediately, then it's a matter of detailing in on those product features, how they deliver value to your customers, to the consumers, and start there, building a very strong product concept. I think would be immediately the right thing to do. Considering that you probably have the company part already in place.
Okay.
So you cannot, if you're a small startup, it's very hard to build a corporate brand position and then wait for the product launches afterwards. Yeah.
Just getting back to you, Christina, and maybe just a joint reflection, thinking about the Food Nation toolbox and specifically the white papers as Natascha introduced as an asset in the platform. What do we think about using maybe elements from this specific part, Christina?
So regarding to how to use your toolbox?
Specifically maybe the white papers.
White papers, well, definitely makes sense. It's something that's been out there before. It's worked before. People seen it. So use it to your advantage. You don't start from the scratch. Use what's already in your toolbox in the white papers and get the learnings from there.
Yeah. Thank you. And Natascha, maybe just finalizing also on your point with the white papers. What be your most important advice for our audience here to explore the toolbox, activating what's in it? What would be the most important? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'll just do like this. So activating the white paper or the toolbox?
The toolbox.
The toolbox. I think like the most essential takeaway from this branding masterclass would be to use it to cherry pick from. So look at the different materials, the different content, and see how can you use it, because it's not a one size fits all. It's what suits your needs and leverage on that.
Thank you very much, Natascha.
Just very shortly.
Yeah, and with this very short round off, I would say thank you very much for all four of you, and ask you to step out of the camera, and I will sum up from you.
Super, thank you.
And I will just do a quick sum up and greet all of you for being with us today. Thank you very much for participating. I hope you have found some valuable inspiration how to turn the national strengths into international brand value. and that you not at least feel encouraged to step into and cherry pick, as Natascha said, in our toolbox. It's free materials. All of it is open source, so please join us in that. And if you want to be motivated or follow our work, join us on our social media, LinkedIn, follow us there. And also, hopefully, you will take 2 minutes to answer a quick survey when we send it to you after this branding masterclass. It is very valuable for us to get your feedback and how we can approach different themes in the future. And with these words, I really hope that you will have a very nice day wherever you are, and hope to see you again, maybe here in our new visitor center or online. I wish you all a very good day. Thank you very much.